Same thing we do every day, Kristian. Changing people's lives. Yeah, we good? Yeah. That looks about live. Alright. I wanna read a quote for you. Actually, I've got two that I wanna kick off with. Let's start off with Henry David Thoreau. The mass of men lead lives of quiet desperation. What is called resignation is confirmed desperation. From the desperate city, you go into the desperate country and have to console yourself with the bravery of minks and muskrats. A stereotyped but unconscious despair is concealed under what are called the games and amusements of mankind. There is no play in them, for this comes after work. But it is a characteristic of wisdom not to do desperate things. And then, though the quote is from Jack Kerouac, the only people for me are the mad ones. The ones who are mad to live, mad to talk, mad to be saved, desirous of everything at the same time. The ones who never yawn or say a commonplace thing, but burn, burn, burn like fabulous yellow Roman candles exploding like spiders across the stars, and in the middle you see the blue center light pop and everybody goes, oh. So, first of all, why am I reading those quotes to you? I want to dedicate this live stream to my willingness to take bold risks over, especially these past 4 years. I was sat 30th floor, a rooftop bar yesterday with a breathtakingly beautiful girl. And I was looking over the skyline of Bangkok. I've got this beautiful girl with me. I'm making more money than I've ever made in my life. I'm waking up every day ready to just change the lives of hundreds and thousands of people all across the world. I'm really waking up in my dream every single day. Like, I'm doing what I love. I feel as though I'm answering a calling and fulfilling a promise that I made with God before I got planted on this earth to inspire a generation of men to live a life beyond the beige. And I was just looking along this skyline, this picturesque panoramic of the city, and I was like, how do we end up here? Like, there was a part of me which felt as though somebody like me was never supposed to experience something like this. If you don't know my story, if you don't know who I am, I used to be an absolute loser. I used to live in a grotty apartment in central Leeds. I used to be a porn addict who had erectile dysfunction. I used to wake up most days hating myself, hating the man that I've become. I was working a dead end job for minimum wage. My flat was infested by cockroaches. I was just another kid zigzagging through the world, hoping and praying that I would be accepted, hoping that I would receive love from the feminine, hoping that I would receive admiration from the masculine. I felt as though no matter what I did, I was never going to be good enough for anybody, especially myself. I'd have crippling insecurity and doubt and battle with a perceived lack of self-worth. And now I'm in one of my favorite cities in the world. I've built a fully independent international lifestyle. I've become the best in the world at daytime call approach. I've got the best results in the industry. You can look at those yourself on my Instagram page at Casanova Dating. And I've elevated from a place of self-deprecation to self-adoration. I've become the most fuckable version of myself. Now I can walk into a room, I'm compelling people without having to say a word. It's like my charm, my charisma, my confidence is off the scale. When people meet me, they're like, fuck, this guy must have just hopped out of the womb being hashtag confident, but they didn't see the person who I was. I think there is this conflict within all of us between the person who we've always been, the person we want to be, and the person we feel as though we should be. And I believe part of my masculine journey, part of my personal renaissance is inspiring you to go after the things that you want rather than settling for the things you think you can get. At the core of what I do, I teach men how to approach girls during the daytime without feeling weird about it. Yeah, I believe any self-respecting man should be able to go over to a woman who he finds attractive without needing 10 pints of lager down him first. But I think cold approach holds a magnifying glass up to the lack of permission men have these days to follow their truth and live in their bliss, right? It's like the guys who I coach, the guys who I work with, they operate their lives like closet heterosexuals. Like they're scared to be men. They're scared to find women attractive. They're scared to desire the things that they desire. And then this spills over into all aspects of their lives. They play it safe. They are static spectators rather than active players. They have this almost existential dread inside of them. Yeah, they don't want to be another one of the mind-dead masses who sleepwalks through life and wakes up when his best years are behind him. I say all the time in this channel, for fuck's sake, don't die with your music still inside of you. And I realized the reason why I've been able to undergo such an impressive personal renaissance, been able to achieve so many things that once upon a time I thought I would never be able to achieve. The money I'm making, the women I'm dating, the life I'm living. The version of me 4 years ago, I wouldn't have even felt worthy of those things. First, I wouldn't have even thought that I was capable of achieving them. But if I had to point to one thing that has helped me, like the thing that's moved the needle the most, it's been my willingness to take bold, unapologetic risks. The Roman poet Virgil said, "Blessings on your courage, boy, that's the way to the stars." And I think that anything that I've ever wanted to achieve in my life, I've had to force myself to run from comfort like my life depends on it and dive bomb into discomfort as often as possible, doing what terrifies me on a daily basis, because that for me is the only things that stand between us and the person who we want to become. That's what it's been for me anyway. When I look back at who I was 4 years ago and the person that I am today, bridging that gap from who I was to who I am now, it's just been taking bold, unapologetic, radical risks. So the best examples that I can give you is on the 4th of July 2020, I made the decision to do my first ever direct cold approach in Leeds city centre. For most guys, that's a big deal. Like going out of the house with the intention of approaching a girl stone cold sober and giving her a compliment in the middle of the day whilst people are watching, whilst you feel like an unfuckable turnip who no one is ever going to love. That's a big step for most people, and most guys are not prepared to take that first action. And the thing that I really understand now is cold approach is the catalyst for the rest of our lives. That decision that I made 4 years ago to leave my house and do that first direct cold approach opened the floodgates towards the rest of my life, because I realized all of my limitations are hallucinations. It really is me versus me. I'm against myself. And if I'm not prepared to do the actions that I need to take on a daily basis, then I don't deserve to achieve the things that I want. So it all started from that decision to start taking more bold risks. So doing my first direct cold approach in the summer of 2022, I had £3,000 in my bank account. I was working a dead-end job for minimum wage. I was working in a museum in York in the UK. So I was commuting from Leeds to York every single day. Some days I'd work like 6 days in a row, like very, very bad sleep pattern. My mental health wasn't the best. My flat was disgusting. I looked disgusting. I didn't have much going for me. And I remember being on the train to the museum, and I made the decision whilst I was on that train that I was going to leave. I was going to leave that job. I was going to quit that job, and I was going to pursue my coaching business full time. And I remember being on the phone to my mum at the time, and I was like, "Mum, listen, I need to do this, right? I'm working this job. I'm hating my life. I'm hating myself. I feel as though I've got more inside of me. Like I feel as though I've got more to offer the world than this." And that was what was pissing me off. That was my motivation to take the risks that I've taken. It's because, like I explained, I don't want to die with my music still inside of me. I had so much pain inside of me that I couldn't afford to delay any longer. It was just this compulsion. I was like, I can't slave away my life anymore. There's music, there's a symphony that I can sing, which the rest of the world needs to hear. And I'm letting the world down by playing it safe, because the reason why I was working that job is because that's what I believed I deserved. Yeah, and I've learned that in life we don't get what we deserve, we get what we think we deserve, and we don't achieve dreams, we achieve standards. My standards at that point in my life was so low, and the way I did everything was the way I did anything was the way I did everything. My standards were low based off of my income, the girls that I was dating, the place that I was living. Everything was so low. I would eat the cheapest food. I would scrimp. I'd have that scarcity mindset because I didn't grow up with money. I was brought up in a single parent household in the Lake District. I was brought up on a council estate. Money was always scarce, right? The place that I was brought up, it was go to school, get decent grades, and then go to the submarine factory where I was brought up in the Lake District. That's what everyone does. It's like, don't like stay in your lane. Don't put your head above the parapet. Don't dream. Don't think that you can outgrow us. It's that crabs in a bucket, small town mentality. If you live in a small town, you'll understand what I'm talking about. And I faced a lot of familial crisis. Most people in my family, I don't actually talk to anymore because I was the one person in my family who decided to leave that small town to pursue a life less ordinary. And now when members of my family hear about what I'm doing, the money I'm making, the life I'm living, all I get back is jealousy. It's like, who do you think you are? Oh, you think you think you're better than us. You think you've surpassed us. And that desire inside, I don't even know if it's a willingness or a compulsion, but I knew really early on in my life that I was destined for something greater than just being in this small town. And I knew that running from comfort, like my life depended on it, and doing what terrified me on a daily basis, just being prepared to do what most people are not prepared to do, and therefore living a life that most people live. The amount of people who I speak to now, or even comments that I get online where it's like, oh, it must be nice for you. Oh, it's so easy for you. You've most likely had everything handed to you. Oh, it's so difficult for me. I'm like, you honestly, fuck you. Honestly, fuck you. You don't know the first thing about me. That's what I mean when people just see a snapshot, like they'll see, oh, a piece of content or something that I say online. It's like, oh, this guy is this way, this guy, and it's like, you weren't there. This is like 14 years in the making from that 13-year-old socially anxious misfit who was terrified of the world. I would go out to parks in the Lake District to perform close-up magic for people. And it's like, that's something that I've really learned so far. Like, I'm 27 years old right now. And the reason I've titled this video the way that I've titled it is I want this really to speak to guys who are in their 20s right now. If you're a guy and you're in your 20s, stop playing it so safe. Stop settling for mediocrity. Stop thinking that, oh, it's okay, I'll just do this, I'll coast through life. Oh, and it's like, I used to be that guy. I used to be a drifter. I used to be a coaster. And it's like, the way that I perceive it is like my 20s, this decade, I've got to invest into the identity of the person who I want to embody. It's like, take bold risks now. Like, I think in our 20s are the best time to experiment with all of these things. So going outside, learning how to cold approach, like investing heavily into your social skills, starting a business, just going all in with that business, taking that business to the moon, going all in with your social skills, your relationships. Maybe you've got a passion, like I used to be a magician. Maybe you're a musician, maybe you're a painter, maybe you're a potter, and you want to go all in with that. It's just like, just give yourself permission to suck, give yourself permission to fuck up and not be great at the start. If you're falling forwards, you're still falling forwards. But I feel as though what I found to be true, the conversations that I have with guys who are older than me in my private network, the Entourage, is everything that we're doing in our 20s, all of these risks that we're taking, we may not see the fruits of our labor until another 2 months or 2 years from now, right? Like when I did that first cold approach in the Lake District, when I first went over to that first person in the Lake District and said, hi, excuse me, my name's Kristian, I want to show some magic to you, would that be okay? I didn't realize the actions that I was taking as a 13-year-old were going to pay off 14 years later when I made the decision to do that first direct cold approach in Leeds. And then when I decided to do that first direct cold approach, that became the catalyst to the rest of my life. It allowed me to develop this fuck it mentality whereby 2 years later, I was in a position where it was time to zig or zag. I had a decision to make. Was I going to remain at the museum or was I going to go all in on my coaching business? And I wouldn't have made that decision. I wouldn't have adopted that fuck it mentality if it hadn't have been for the skill set of cold approach. I think that cold approach is the greatest investment any man can make into his life, because it's the skills we acquire through this process. It's deeper than day game. It's not just going out approaching girls. Like, that is loser mentality. Like, that's why you're playing it so small, because you're just seeing it as this one-dimensional entity. View cold approach for what it is. It's a catalyst for the rest of your life. It's who are you becoming through this process. You're forging a new identity through the fires of adversity. You're realizing that your limitations are hallucinations. You're conditioning yourself to take the path of most resistance. And then whenever you're met with challenges or obstacles, adversity, the obstacle is the way. Yeah, there's something about a man who cold approaches. And I'm like, I always say, I am my biggest case study. Yeah, like, you can listen to all the testimonials on my Instagram page at Casanova Dating. But if you want the best client result I can give you, you're looking at him. You just go back onto the earliest videos on this channel, like, look at the person who I was and look at the person who I've become. It doesn't happen by luck, it happens by design. And that's the thing that I want you to take away from this live stream. One of the most practical things that I can give you is create a fear list, right? Create a list of all of the things that currently scare the absolute shit out of you. And the goal for me has always been to make myself as violently uncomfortable in the present moment so my future self will thank me. I have this future projection mindset whereby I meet myself in the future. I meet the person who I want to become, and then I reverse engineer it. I'm like, okay, what would I need to do to become that person? What risks would I need to take? What actions would I need to take on a consistent basis? How would I need to think? Where would I need to be based in the world? How would I carry myself? How would I talk? What would be my daily activities? I go much deeper than this in my free online course. It's called My Most Fuckable Man course. There'll be a link below. And in that course, there's a module on mindset mastery, which I really want you to watch. And it talks about us creating a personal renaissance document. That's beyond the scope of this video, but we're just scratching the surface here. So I recommend that you get that course, My Most Fuckable Man course. My courses are completely free. I give away information. I charge for implementation. So I'm not gonna ask you for $997 or try funnel you into like some $50 school community. But that's the mindset that I would love you boys to start adopting, especially if you're in your 20s. Even if you're not in your 20s, it's still fine. But the actions that we take today, they are an investment into our future self. It's the compounding of these daily actions. So you could go out today, you could do one direct cold approach, and because your mind is so accustomed to instant gratification, you're probably thinking, oh, I approached the girl, she said thank you, and then she just walked off. Oh, maybe I did something wrong. Oh, this must not work. And then you don't do it anymore. It's like, dude, over a long enough time horizon, if you continue to outwork your self-doubt, you will get to where you want to be. Like, that's really all it comes down to in any game that you want to play. It's just don't quit. Just over a long enough time horizon, make it unreasonable for yourself not to succeed. And the final thing I want to say, because most men today are leading lives of quiet desperation, right? They're working the same job, spending the same time around the same 5 people they went to the same school with, and nothing changes because nothing changes, right? Lives of quiet desperation, copies of copies of copies. So I want you to understand that my mindset, the mindset that's really helped me in my process of personal renaissance, has been liberated nihilism. All right, there's a beautiful passage in Macbeth by William Shakespeare, which is, life's but a walking shadow, a poor player that struts and frets his hour upon the stage and then is heard no more. It's a tale told by an idiot, full of sound and fury, signifying nothing. Most of us are walking around and fretting our hour upon the stage, the finite, transient nature of life. In 100 years, none of this is going to matter. In 100 years, all of those people who you're on the public transport with, we're all going to be dead, right? So the reason why I coined it liberated nihilism is because my ability to embrace my own mortality, realizing that I have an hour upon this stage. I don't want to sleepwalk through life. I don't want to die with my music still inside of me. I want to get to the end of my life when all is said and done and be able to look at the guy and be like, yeah, fair fucking play. fair fucking play. I've got no regrets. I did everything that I wanted to do, and that's the position that I want us to be in, like liberated nihilism, understanding that we really do have a finite amount of time on this earth. So approach that girl, fly to that city, start that business. Just have this mindset of, right, what I'm doing now, it's going to pay off in the future. Yeah, and like that's been the mindset that's really changed my life. It's been the mindset that has allowed me to go from the person who I was to the person that I've become today. And the final thing that I wanted to say is, I think that conflict within all of us, yeah, that conflict between the person who we've always been, the person we feel as though we should be, and the person we want to be. The amount of guys who I coach, the amount of guys who I sit down and have no bullshit conversations with, and they are so scared of what other people are going to think of them. Oh, what if I approach that girl and somebody watches me? What if I start creating content online and people start throwing me hate comments? What if I leave my job and then my family disown me, right? Like all of these what ifs, yeah? Like, first of all, like most worries never come true, but it was what I was saying before. It's making ourselves so violently uncomfortable in the present. Yeah, it's like if you could already be living that life you wanted to be living, if you could already be making six figures, dating that gob-smackingly gorgeous girl, be the most confident, fuckable version of yourself. If you could already be doing those things, you would already be doing them, and that's why I believe a big part of this masculine journey is metaphorically crucifying this current version of ourselves and elevating into that person that we want to be. Yeah, it's like the quote from Nietzsche where it was like, and those who were seen dancing were declared insane by those who couldn't hear the music, or something like that. So it's really dancing to your own music rather than dancing to the music of the masses or being constrained by the shackles of society. It's living for an audience of one. Yeah, that's what it's been for me. It's like, right, who do I want to become? What do I need to get there? Right, okay, I need to start taking more bold risks. I need to overcome my fear of the spotlight effect. I need to take a sledgehammer to my social anxieties. I'll become a magician. I remember when I first watched a cold approach infield video. It was when I was living with my long-term girlfriend at the time. It was during the pandemic, and I saw a video online of a guy approaching girls in Barcelona, and dude, something just clicked in me in that moment. I was like, right, that's what I want to do. I want to build a business out of this. I want to be the best in the world at this. What actions do I need to take? Well, first of all, I need to become fucking great at this skill set, right? So it's just taking these risks. Like every time you're met with a decision, every time I'm met with a decision now, it's right, what decision is going to help me grow the most? Yeah, like what decision is going to allow me to level up? And like the final thing is this process of learning cold approach. It's really installed this mindset of throw me in hell and I'll find a way to enjoy it. I'm really viewing things now as nothing happens to me, everything happens for me. Like all of the vicissitudes which have occurred in my life, like any negative, quote unquote, any negative event which happens to me now, like, I don't know, I go outside, a girl blows me out, my flight gets cancelled, my Airbnb is like, sorry mate, we can't house you anymore, whatever it is, just any sort of bad thing that happens. A former version of me would have cried and got upset and blamed the world, like, oh, woe is me. Now I just take it all in my stride. Now my mindset is no matter what, I can handle it. I've already done, I would say, the most difficult thing in this world for a guy, which is approaching a woman stone cold sober during the day while people are watching. Like, dude, I've done solo skydives. I've done solo skydives at 18 years old. Cold approach is by far more nerve-wracking because there's more ego involved there, right? There's just more ego involved. It's like, hi, you look amazing. And then if she doesn't reciprocate your advances, you feel like an unlovable piece of shit. You do that 10,000 times, dude. That changes who you are at your core. Like, you want to develop core confidence. You want to develop a sort of bulletproof confidence that sets you apart from pretty much every other guy on the planet. You want to be able to go after what you want rather than settling for what you think you can get. You want to become the most magnetic, charismatic, fuckable version of yourself who can achieve anything that he sets his mind to. Cold approach is the gateway to all of these things. And I didn't think that. Like when I first got started with it, I was like, yeah, I just want to get girls. I'm feeling lonely right now. I want to feel loved. But then the deeper I go in this process, I realize it is the discipline that takes me closer to the divine. It's a catalyst for the rest of my life. And it's been the thing which has changed my life more than anything else. So just take the risks. Just take the risk on a daily basis. I promise you, over a long enough time horizon, as long as you don't quit, as long as you take the right actions, you will fucking get there. You will fucking win. I promise you that. I promise you that. Like, this is the whole point of this channel, of these live streams, which I'm doing every single day. Just giving optimism, because I know what it's like to just be in that fucking position where you hate yourself, you hate your life, you don't think there's any hope for you, you're looking towards the future, you reject yourself on the world's behalf, you experience failure in advance, and you don't try because you don't think that you're worthy. We need to just get rid of all this horseshit, right? Belief follows action. So just do one thing today, right? Do one thing today which scares you, which you wouldn't usually do. Right? That's all I want you to do after watching this live stream. That might be going outside and doing your first direct cold approach. That might be sending an email to your manager to be like, hiya, soz, I'm leaving. I'm going to go Bali and I'm going to set up my online business. So fuck you, Janice. Or maybe for you, it's writing that first page of your novel because all your friends are like, oh, that's weird. Let's go down the pub and let's watch Cole Palmer score another hat trick. It's like, fuck off. Just do one thing that scares you after watching this live stream. Leave it in the comments as well. Just be like, yo, Kristian, I did this. And then tell me what you actually did, right? Because nothing changes if nothing changes. If you always do what you've always done, you'll always get what you've always got. So this is your sign to take bold risks. This is your sign to go all in with yourself, because most men really do live lives of quiet desperation. So don't be most of those men. I think that has been a banger live stream. So listen, boys, if you're new to this channel, my name's Kristian. I travel the world. I coach high-achieving, busy city workers how to bring beautiful girls into their lives with that single swipe on the screen. If you like what I do, you resonate with me, then you can get on my free courses below. I've got my most fuckable man course and conversation killer. So these courses give you everything you need to get started in this like crazy, weird world of cold approach. They're the courses that I wish had been available to me when I first started. So I put those together. It took me a really long time to put them together, but they're free for you. So go get them, gobble them up, and then transmute information into implementation. So yeah, bud, I love you very much. Download the free courses. The links are below. And yeah, drop the live stream a like. If you enjoyed this live stream, if you've got value from it, drop it a like. Go outside and do something that absolutely terrifies you. Take that bold risk today and invest into the identity of the person who you want to become. All right, boys, I love you very much. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Do all the YouTubey shit. I'll speak to you tomorrow. Bye.